For those of you watching on the AFA channel, that's a shot of Times Square where I said snowpocalypse came yesterday. I'm not kidding. We already had about 28 inches on my front lawn, and then we got another 1.5 feet yesterday. We've got a little window of time today. About 3 more inches fell in the overnight. We've got a little bit of time today, and then we're supposed to get snow all through the day tomorrow as well. So by my count, we'll be over 40, 45 inches just in the last few weeks. Doesn't even take into account the previous snowfall that had fallen and melted off a couple of times ago. So it's just pray for us up here in the Northeast. The building that we're in fact, the bunker here at the AFA Today broadcast complex, it is experiencing leaking from the roof down because there's just so much weighted snow on top of this building. It's a brand new building, about 5 years old, 6 years old, something like that. Yeah, it's a mess. But we're glad to be with you. Kevin McCullough is my name, and we're talking about the demand by a GOP lawmaker. Her name is Elena Ros-Lehtinen, I think is how you say her name. It's a hyphenated name. And she sent a letter to the president making what I think to be a very reasonable request. Mr. President, you said you've in Chamberlain-like fashion, brought peace in our time, and you came back and you say, hey, I made this deal. Hey, let's make a deal. And I made the deal, and the deal is they're going to stop making nuclear weapons, kinda, if we give them billions and billions of dollars. Well, as long as there's no enforcement, who'd turn that deal down? Mr. President? Yeah, I bet you're proud of yourself. Here's the problem. It's been all these weeks. The agreement went into effect January the 1st, and Congress hasn't been given a copy of it. Congress doesn't know if we're upholding our end of the bargain on the deal, and we don't know if Iran's upholding their end of the bargain on the deal. Congress doesn't know anything because they've not been shown a copy of the actual agreement. So I had this funny idea. I wonder if the American people will mind that that's the case. So I thought I'd ask. So I'm asking you. 888-589-8840. Let's talk to Sandy in Texas on line 3. Hi, Sandy. Glad you're with us. What are your thoughts on this Congresswoman? Is she like making an unreasonable demand upon the executive of the United States?
No, I think actually what she's doing is right. The problem is with the Republicans and the rhinos in Congress that where are the rest of them, unanimously signing on to this to ask the same question? But, throughout the entire Obama administration, the Republicans have been too silent on everything. And so the issues just keep mounting and mounting and mounting with regards to this president getting away with murder. But my question was your comment on, the last time that these issues came up, and then we end up giving these people, millions of dollars, in Egypt, losing our ambassador, and we're still giving the Egyptian government money. When we give money to the government in our taxes and things like that, that money is given to our government to spend for us, and for them to just divvy that money out all over the world. I think the American public, number one, because our form of government says we the people run the government, and so besides the fact that the Republicans being silent, the silence of the American public is where the real problem lies. That people have got to start saying something.
All right, Sandy, thank you for your call. Appreciate it. 888-589-8840. Let me just make a small distinction in what I was talking about and what Sandy's talking about. She's talking about the foreign aid that we give to nations in general, and she's making a very good point. Many times we're giving foreign aid to countries that are not helpful to us. Sometimes they have been helpful in the past, but they're no longer helpful. That's kind of the case in Egypt, where you don't really know who's in charge over there, and so it's not you can't be guaranteed. The military is fairly loyal to us, but there's no real knowing some of that. Obviously, Israel is loyal to the U.S., some other countries that we've given foreign aid to, but the case is being made increasingly, and I think with quite deft diligence and precision that us giving millions and millions and billions of dollars in foreign aid endlessly is kind of a stupid thing to do. I could be wrong, but that's kind of what I think a lot of people are now thinking. But there's a difference in that money and the money that Iran got. Because here's what happened. We knew Iran was being a terrorist state. We knew that they were funding suicide bombers. We knew that they were awarding families tens of thousands of dollars for every time a son or daughter would strap an explosive device to their body and get on a bus in Israel or head to the Israeli border and blow themselves up. We know for a fact that Iran was bankrolling that. So we thought, well, one of the things we could do to stop bankrupting or bankrolling terrorism is just to freeze the money. So for the past number of years, we've had Iranian assets frozen all over the globe, and for no apparent reason at all. Now, we didn't get a pledge from Iran saying they were going to stop funding terrorist activities. We didn't get a pledge from Iran saying they weren't going to send suicide bombers into regions of Israel or buses or anything else anymore. We didn't get anything. We got nothing. And we just started turning the spigot on the cash again. And within just a matter of a little tiny period of time, they had millions of dollars flowing back into the Iranian coffers. And we know that Iran is not very democratic. We know that when they had a pro-democracy movement after the last election, that young women who just wanted to wear blue jeans in public got shot through the chest on international television. It was beamed to homes all across this country. We also know that it took the president about 10 days to come around and go, well, maybe that's a bad thing. Too bad there wasn't the moral clarity that we're looking for. You know, we commit ourselves to obliterating confusion and amplifying truth and pursuing clarity. There wasn't much of that during that time, but that's the kind of people that we're dealing with in Iran. Those are the people, they're very authoritarian, they're very tight-fisted. They want the world to see it their way. We also know that this super secret deal that the president made, within just a couple of days of him coming back and telling us what it meant, you know, kind of like he's telling us how the Obamacare website's working so well, we found out that the story was actually completely different, and that the Iranians themselves believe that they never promised to stop anything, that they just got the money, that was their deal. So now this congresswoman from Florida, I think she's kind of brave, is asking for the actual text of the deal. If there's a deal, Mr. President, shouldn't Congress be allowed to look at it? At least the House Committee on Foreign Affairs. Wouldn't we just minimally agree in a bipartisan world that's the minimum that we do to try to put goodwill across the American people? Isn't that reasonable? Or is this dude so agenda-driven that he will not work with anybody, ever, because he feels like he doesn't have to? It's a good question, isn't it? Let's go to line one. Tom is holding in Texas. Hi, Tom. Welcome. You're on with Kevin McCullough. So glad to have you with us.
Hey, good. I got to thinking about what you're saying. I think maybe I've watched too many Tom Clancy, Mission Impossible, kind of James Bond movies, but just bear with me for a second. I've got kind of a theory as to why all this is happening with our president.
Okay.
Say you're a group in this world, and you look at the world in this way. There's two types of people in the world. There's those that are for us and those that are against us.
Right.
And if you're against us, you need to be dead. And I got to be careful how I say this. Don't want to be politically correct, but say you wanted to cause the most havoc to those people that you want dead. Well, what would you do? You would have them elected to a position of power, and in that position of power, they can dictate things that would lead to that group of people's demise. And maybe our elected official here is actually not a liberal, but he's a part of that group in sheep's clothing, masking himself as a liberal.
I used to, Tom, when people like you would come on the show, I used to say, oh, no, that would never happen in America. We wouldn't have a government doing things like that. We're America. We're different in that respect. Thanks for the call. I used to say that all the time. I used to say, no. We couldn't have a president that was actually working to undermine the welfare of the American people because, look, we just disagree on how to do things. It's not that we disagree on what needs to be done. Something needs to be done. We just disagree on how to get it done. It's the means that we disagree on, the methods, not the actual needs themselves. I was saying that about a year ago, as a matter of fact, and then I found out that the IRS was systematically singling out conservative and Christian groups for systematic delays in their nonprofit status. And then I found out that the Justice Department had argued that they had the right to tap the phone line and data center of every Associated Press reporter in the Associated Press, which is the world's largest news reporting agency. And then we found out that all of a sudden Verizon and AT&T and Sprint, they'd all made deals or been forced to make deals with the Justice Department, and they were giving over to the United States government every little jot and tittle of the metadata that you and I have in our telephones. And then I found out that the Justice Department wanted to exact some sort of revenge on James Rosen at Fox News, so they went to the FISA court and they told the FISA court, look, he's a threat to national security, so you got to give us permission to just, go crazy with his life. So the FISA court said, well, if he's a threat to national security, then by all means, tap his phone line, tap his mom and dad's phone line, tap his Grammy and Grandpa's phone line, and make sure that we keep everybody safe here. I mean, that's the FISA court, man. If he's a threat to national security, of course, it turned out to be totally Eric Holder just telling a fib. Just a big fib. It was just a lie. It's just a big fat fib. And when he told the fib, a private citizen who works in an area that helps keep the government accountable, the area of the press, was actually the one that was under threat. See, I used to poo-poo conspiracy theories. I used to no, come on, that can't happen here. I don't do that anymore. I don't know that I believe all the conspiracy theories that are out there, but I don't put them down anymore. I don't, because I didn't think that our government would do the things that it's now doing. And by the way, can I just say thank you for Rand Paul? I don't agree with him on everything, and I think his dad was half genius and half nuts. But I think that what he did yesterday or the day before in filing that lawsuit against the President of the United States to put an embargo against the use of private citizens' private information, I think was a very needed thing, and I'm really grateful that he did that. I don't know if he's going to run for president or not, but when you're willing to take a stand like that, because you better believe he's going to be targeted. This is not something that they're just going to accept sitting down. Especially if a judge finds any degree of guilt in the administration's actions and orders them to stop. But I wonder at that point if it would even be Obama's trick to actually stop, because kind of the way he's been acting lately, he just has a pen and a phone, so he'll just go around whatever doesn't work with him. So I'm even confused about that. I mean, if a judge says nope, that's not good, I don't know if he follows it or not. Let's go to line 4. Billy is calling from Oklahoma. Hi, Billy. Welcome. Kevin McCullough, glad to have you.
Glad to be here.
So your thoughts?
I want to say I agree with you about the Obama secret pact with these allies that we don't know anything about. But it could be the same thing as if George Bush got us involved in a war under false pretense, then had a no-bid contract with Halliburton and didn't refuse to explain the whole pact to Congress. Or, if George...
Yeah, except, Billy, it's totally not like that at all. But go ahead.
It is. And if Cheney had an energy...
Yeah, no, it's not like that at all, see, because... And here's how it's not like that. And hear me out, I'll let you respond. When President Bush went to Afghanistan and when he went to Iran, first of all, the intelligence... Iraq. Yes, you're right. When he went to those two places, even though the intelligence by some has been said to be deemed faulty, it reflected the same intelligence reports that Israel, Great Britain, Russia, and a number of other countries also reflected, in that they all said that Saddam had those weapons. Now, aside from that, the biggest difference in what you're trying to say and what I am actually saying is that President Bush actually told Congress what they were doing. And there wasn't any top secret whatever that was not being given to the Foreign Affairs Committee. We knew when our people were going into Afghanistan, and we knew when we were deploying to Iraq. And there were regular reports back to Congress. None of this top secret, cloak and dagger, middle of the night stuff.
That's not true. President Bush refused to disclose the pact he made with Halliburton on a no-bid contract.
I'm sorry. Is Halliburton a state, head of state that is trying to kill Americans?
Halliburton was a company that was Cheney was on the board of directors, and Halliburton was given a no-bid contract on dealing with all the helping us support the war in Iraq.
Right. Again, totally not like this situation at all, though. So I appreciate it, but just I'm not trying to be whatever. It's just wrong. They're not anything alike. He negotiated our national security with a foreign power, and he will not now tell us what he negotiated. It's unacceptable. And I guarantee you, if President Bush had done the same thing, you, Billy from Oklahoma, would be screaming bloody murder about it. As well you should. I'm Kevin McCullough. It's AFA Today on AFR Talk. Don't change your dial.